I really should say possible bear country because, and then if we look a little bit farther down this blue area, I've been coming out here to the Olympic Mountains for years. Well, it has been downright hot here lately, and I say that with a little bit of surprise because we are here in Port Angeles, and Port Angeles sits right on the Salish Sea at the base of the Olympic Mountains. And so generally this area is cooler rather than warmer, but this heat wave has got all of us under a heat spell. And unfortunately, even though I came here to Port Angeles to get away from the heat, it's still here. So maybe today's not going to be too bad. At least I hope so. But I think we can get out of the city into someplace a little bit cooler, hopefully, maybe, since we are at the base of the mountains. But my first stop here this morning is to get some bread, and I'm going to try out a little bakery here at the edge of town. So this bakery was suggested to me by a Port Angeles local, so it must be good. And there's another reason why I wanted to stop here. But first we're going to go in and get some bread and maybe some coffee too. What an absolutely delightful little bakery here. Very busy in there. Did get a loaf of their house bread, and I got a cinnamon roll, because those of you that know me know that I like cinnamon rolls and can't help myself. And I also got a cup of coffee, and it is from a local roaster, so this will be a new experience for me. Yeah, this coffee is quite excellent. I'm going to set this down, leave this here for a second, should be okay, and show you the other thing that I came here to see, some local artwork. So along the outside of the bakery here is some artwork by a local artist who I know of, but have never met. I know of her because she has a very similar van as I do. She has a ProMaster City minivan that she's decked out as a little camper. Hers is much nicer looking than mine, much like her artwork is just incredible. And I couldn't quite remember her name, but there it is, Gianna Andrews. You can look her up if you are not familiar with her, but she has a bunch of these murals that she's done around Port Angeles here. She's quite well known in the area. So I just wanted to stop and see this. It's so cool to me that they do this on a busy street, having a little bit of artwork that just pops up as you're driving along town is kind of a neat thing. And that's how I found this. I was just driving by, since this is a fairly busy street here. I noticed it and thought, hey, that sure looks like Gianna Andrews' work. And then her van was out here. She was actually working on it when I drove by. So that's how I found out about it. Now, let's get a move on, because as I said before, I'm getting kind of warm and I've got too many things to carry at the moment. How am I going to do this? Okay, somehow I made it without dropping anything. I think the bread would bounce because it's, bread. That's okay. It looks pretty good. We're going to try it a little bit later, though. I think I may dive into this cinnamon roll rather quickly. Let's go someplace nicer. As I said, it's starting to get warmer out, so I want to get to someplace cooler. And oh, you can see the heat is already affecting my brain. I did not give you the rundown of this little bakery. This bakery is locally owned by a lady that grew up here in Port Angeles, so it is a true local business, so a place I like to look for. So I'm figuring everything is going to be really good, and I'm really enjoying this coffee. In fact, I'm enjoying it so much I'm not going to add any half and half to it, because it is like perfect just the way it is. Let's see, I should get rid of this top though. I really don't like drinking out of plastic lids. It does affect the flavor. I'll pick that up later. It does affect the flavor, I think, because you can't quite smell the coffee so much. So this will be even better now on it. So since Port Angeles here is right at the base of the Olympic Mountains, that means we are really just steps away from getting out into some trees where it will be much cooler than on the blacktop and concrete of the city here. And we're very close to the Olympic Mountain Visitors Center, so we'll go up there for our first stop. Did I just say the Olympic National Park Visitors Center, or did I say something else that didn't make any sense at all? See, the heat's already getting to me. Well, Buena Luz Bakery is what I would call walking distance from the Olympic National Park Visitors Center here. So if you do happen to get out here to the Olympic National Park, you have no excuse not to try out that awesome little bakery. Even though I haven't actually tasted anything except the coffee yet, here I'm giving them rave reviews. So I actually don't need anything here, but I did want to just stop and fill up my water bottle because they have a filtered water station here, and probably a good idea to stock up on water on a hot day. You know, it's funny, I use this water bottle every day, all day long, and I totally forgot that I have an Olympic National Park sticker on here. Just have totally not noticed it because it's just a common thing I look at. I don't even think about it anymore. This sticker is a friend of mine who's changed his channel name, and then this sticker is always painful for me to look at because this needs to be replaced. This is a Weirdos Unite sticker, if you know who that is. You know who that is. I should probably replace that at some point. Of course, that's Chrome from Van City Van Life. Chrome is actually on Vancouver Island most of the time, which is right across from Port Angeles here. There's a ferry that you can take from Port Angeles to Vancouver Island, which is, of course, Canada, and Canada is another country. I'm just giving you some facts, you know, since I was forgetting to give you facts about the bakery. I'm trying to remember to give you facts now. Oh, actually, bakery. Let's get into the cinnamon roll. This will be brunch. Now, I am going to admit that part of me is a little bit disappointed that this isn't slathered in cream cheese icing like a lot of cinnamon rolls, but I think this bakery tries to do things a little bit healthier. They've got lots of healthy options in there. They do have some vegan options as well, if that's what you're into, but I think that this is going to be good. Let's try it. Oh yeah, I really shouldn't have been worried that this was going to need icing, because a good cinnamon roll really doesn't need any extra padding to make it good. This is quite tasty all on its own. Well, I absolutely demolished that cinnamon roll, and it was very, very good. I am, of course, very picky when it comes to baked goods, and one of the things that I don't like is when they're too sweet. So I was really just kind of kidding about wishing that it had frosting on it, because I think a good cinnamon roll doesn't need frosting. In fact, I think it makes them too sweet most of the time. So that one was perfect. Luckily, I've still got a little bit of coffee left. I'm nursing on. I can't believe how good this coffee is. I'm going to have to look back on the website and see what the local roaster is, because I don't remember offhand. But this coffee is just absolutely incredible. So I don't actually need anything from the visitor center here other than to fill up my water bottle. Although I am just thinking now I should probably toss out my trash, since there are trash cans here. I'm going to do that. But I was here the other day when I first got into Port Angeles because I needed a new America the Beautiful pass, which allows us access into Olympic National Park if we wanted to go. Well, that was a smart move to toss out my trash because it was rather stinky. I don't know what was in there, but it was sure smelly, and it's probably a good idea to get rid of anything smelly if we are going to be in bear country. I really should say possible bear country, because this area really is very busy, and let's face it, bears don't like people, so if there are people around, there are usually not bears around, so no worries about running into a bear today. I mean, I guess it's always a possibility. So nowadays, I really don't get out of the city very often. I really am city-bound most of the time. Well, if there's any question that it's actually hot out today, my phone just shut off. It said it was overheating. So I popped back here in the back of the van where it's cool. The van always stays cool because I don't have windows in this van. It is a cargo van, so there's no windows to heat up the space back here. So it's nice and cool back here, but very hot up in the cab and pretty warm outside too. So I just stuck the phone in the fridge for a few minutes and it popped back to life. So now we'll get back into what I was saying when the phone shut off, which is I am city bound most of the time these days. I just don't get out of the city very often, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. The van's issues do keep me where I have cell service most of the time in case I need to call AAA and get a tow, which is a very real possibility at any point nowadays. And of course, Some health issues. I don't really like talking about those, but the van and me are kind of on the same health rating there. You know, we both have some things going on. So I don't get out of the city as much as I would like to, but Port Angeles provides a really good opportunity because very close to downtown Port Angeles here is some really nice forest area. So this gives me a great opportunity to get out and maybe even possibly camp. Now, a lot of people ask me where I go to camp and how I find places to camp. Now, I normally look at free places to camp, and I do that with an app called Outly, as well as Google Maps. So I use Google Maps to kind of look for places that might be close to a city that I'm staying in, and then I go to this app called Outly, and Outly will show you where you are by GPS. So that's us right there, and you can see that we're surrounded by some purple here, so that's the national park it's showing us. And then if we look a little bit farther down, this blue area, that is Washington State DNR land. And DNR land is very much like BLM land that you might have heard about in Arizona or California. It's a place where you can go and disperse camp for free. Now in Washington State, you do need a Discover Pass. That's a Washington State Park Pass that the state sells. And as long as you have a Discover Pass, you can disperse camp for free on DNR land. There's obviously some national forest land as well. I've mentioned Outly before to a lot of people, and most people kind of turn their nose up at it, and they mention Gaia apps, and there's some others that are kind of like Outly and Gaia apps. They're all pretty much the same. They just use GPS to locate yourself, and then they show you who owns the land that you happen to be on. And that's the important thing. So whether you choose Gaia, which is about $80 a year for a subscription, or Outly, I use because it's a free app. I just need to give them an email address. You just need a way to know exactly where you are by GPS. And so I've downloaded this map area onto my phone, and we're going to head out and see if we can get to that little blue area that we're looking at and see what it looks like. Now, we may not camp there tonight, but I would like to just see if there is decent camping very close to the park and very close to Port Angeles. So let's go check it out. Oh, it is a big change between the front and the back of the van here. It is boiling up here. It's no wonder my phone overheated and shut down. Well, hopefully one of these days I'll be able to drive up to Hurricane Ridge. I've heard so many good things about it, about the view just being amazing and it just being spectacular up there. But I don't dare do it right now with the van's issues. So I'm hoping that this little excursion will satiate my desire to head up into the mountains a little bit farther. Well, I just hit a little snag. Google Maps is taking me up a different road, and I thought maybe there was a reason for it, but also I wanted to just take it because I've driven up the other road before, so I figured take the new road. Maybe you'll see something new. Trouble is, our access to where we wanted to go was blocked by a big gate. So this is a good example of why I like to do this on a day where I don't really have a whole lot going on, is just to see what it looks like. Just because we can locate an area on a map doesn't mean that we actually have access to get to that area. So having a fun little drive, but now we're heading back down the hill so that we can go back up the hill and see if we can get to that spot from the other road. This is just as beautiful as I remember it the last time I drove up here, but it's even steeper than I remember it, and the van is struggling a little bit, making me a little bit nervous. I'm trying to think about other things. Think about the scenery. Look at how pretty it is. That's what I keep reminding myself. Well, I just hit snag number 2. So the road that I wanted to take, we can't access from Hurricane Ridge Roads here. So I think this might be a bit of a bust, other than driving up a very pretty scenic route. Now I just need to find a place to turn back around, because I don't want to go too much farther up here. The van's really having a tough time. Well, I finally got to a place to turn around. I had to drive quite a little ways, a little bit nerve-wracking for me. There's not a lot of places to turn around because this road is pretty much just one lane in either direction. But this is a good spot to stop and stretch our legs, because there's a little bit of a viewpoint and it looks awesome out here. The sun is so intense I can't really see what the phone is seeing, but I think if I come down here I can give you a little better look at that peak. Well, a little bit of a bummer, but I'm happy to be able to get out and about a little bit. I was hoping to get out and about a little more than this, but you know, we take what we can get, right? Uh-oh. I see right here somebody's going to have a very cranky ride down the mountain. I feel bad for Mom and Dad. Maybe they'll realize that they dropped it and come back for it. Okay, first water, and then we'll head back down the hill and think of alternate arrangements. Boy, the sun is just intense right now. I think this is about 3,000 feet in elevation, so maybe that's making it feel a little bit worse. But I'm feeling a bit overheated. I'm going to turn the air conditioning on the drive back down the hill. Well, good news, everyone. It's not nearly as busy down here as it was earlier, so plenty of parking spaces, so I feel fine sitting here for a little bit. Bad news is, since we're done with the drive, I now have to turn the air conditioner and the van off. Okay, first things first, I need to get some lunch going because I haven't hardly eaten anything today. I'm having a little craving for egg salad, so let me hard boil some eggs up since we're just going to be sitting here. So that'd be a good time to do that. So recently I found a new to me way to prepare hard-boiled eggs, and that is to steam them in a pan. And I really like the method because one, it seems to cook them exactly perfectly the way you want to get them cooked, and two, it uses very little water, which is a real big plus for me since I'm always having to go find water. I mean, that's why we came here earlier, because I wanted to refill some water. And the third thing is that they peel a little bit easier, I think. So we're going to do that. I'll just make up a few of them so I can have a little bit of lunch here and maybe a little bit more for dinner or lunch tomorrow, whatever I feel like. Maybe I shouldn't make up half a dozen. No, let's just make up half a dozen while we're cooking them. Might as well just make up plenty, right? So with this method, we just need enough water in the pan to keep the pan from boiling dry. So I've just got a little tiny bit in there. Should be plenty for us. And then I'll put the lid on this so that we're getting that heated up efficiently. As soon as this comes to a boil, I'll drop the eggs in, although I did learn the hard way the last time I did this to not actually drop the eggs in, otherwise they crack and they make a big mess. So I've got tongs here, so I'll just set the eggs down into the steaming water once it's up to a boil, and then I like 11 minutes. Let them steam for 11 minutes, take them out, cool them down quickly, and peel them as soon as I can get my hands on them. Just seems to be the best way, and so this is the way I'm doing hard-boiled eggs from now on. So hard-boiled eggs are not the best thing to make if you are trying to conserve water. I get that. I'm sure some of you are laughing at me about this, but I have a craving for them, so I'll go ahead and just need to go and buy some more water pretty quickly here. So now I'm just gonna peel one of these quickly. I don't know if you saw how easy that was to peel, and it's, well, not perfect, but pretty close. And I'm just gonna break it open and just see if it's the way I like it. Oh yeah. Okay, see that? I like them with no green whatsoever and just barely cooked all the way through. So these are perfect. So I'll just need to run a little bit more water on these, cool them down quickly, and then finish peeling them off. I've done the classic mistake. I used too small of a bowl. So let's put these in a proper size bowl, and I'm gonna chop them up, and I'll just do that by hand with my little paring knife here, and then I'll add some salt and a little bit of mayonnaise to them. Okay, there we go. Got it all chopped up, got mayonnaise and a little bit of salt in here, and did a quick taste on it. I think it's pretty good. Now I'll just go into the fridge. This is hard to do one-handed. If it'll fit. Oh yeah, there we go. So just into the fridge for a couple of minutes. Now I have one small criticism about the bakery. They don't sell sliced bread, and they don't slice any of the bread that they sell. So that means I've got to do it myself. I did find my bread knife, this goofy thing. I'm not sure why it's orange. I really don't know. But it does work pretty good. The only thing is I don't usually slice bread very good. So let's see how this goes. But I got to do it. I don't have any choice but to do it myself. This is why I have the bread knife though, right? Okay, here goes nothing. Disco's watching over me. Let's see how this goes. This is the big problem. This board is not quite large enough for this, but I knew that when I bought this cutting board that it really wasn't going to be good for large cutting. See, we're making do. That's terrible. That was a terrible job. I'll just keep going. Okay, I've got it done. Not the best job, and I think I'm realizing now that I'm not going to make the bread slicing Olympic team. That ship has sailed, unfortunately, but this will be good enough for a sandwich. And I did cut another slice. This one was way off, but just so I can taste the bread. Normally I only buy sourdough, but I made the exception with this place because, well, they didn't sell sourdough, so this was the closest thing they had. Oh, it's good though. Very good. I like it. So the egg salad is cooled down to room temperature. It's not quite cold yet, and that's perfect because it'll taste better at room temperature. Then I'll finish it off with some Kalamata olives. I'll just chop these up a little bit, and I'll add some pickle relish, some dill relish here, bubbies, and I might add a little bit more mayonnaise too to this. And then I think what we'll do is we'll wrap this up and take it out for a little hike and eat it out in amongst the trees, because that's why we came back here. Okay, got sandwich wrapped up and got our water still filled up. So let's go take a little walk out in the trail here. It's right behind the visitors center. There's a couple of trails. There's a short one and a long one, but I just want to get out into the trees where it's nice and cool. Although I have to say, it's been really nice inside my van today. It was pretty hot up on top of the hill there when I was outside, but anytime I was in the van, it stayed really cool. In fact, it stayed cool in here even though I was boiling water for cooking the eggs. It never got hot in here. It's a nice thing about not having windows. I keep saying that to people, you know, this is why I like a cargo van, is because they don't get hot because you don't have windows concentrating that heat and heating up the inside of the van. So it's good, but we can do better, which means going down that little trail and getting in the shade. Just a few feet off of the path here away from the parking lot, and can you tell how much quieter it is already? This is the reason to come out here. Now what you can't tell is how much cooler it is, but you can probably guess. It is so much cooler. It feels like 15 or 20 degrees cooler than the parking lot. Why did I take so long in making that sandwich? I guess, you know, I've been craving egg salad, and it's been quite a while since I've had any, so I guess it'll be worth it. But right now it seems kind of silly to spend all that time back in the parking lot when I could have been out here. This is what I do, though. Yeah, this is the exact view and soundtrack I was hoping to find to eat my lunch. That is actually dinner time now, but let's ignore that. This is, of course, the egg salad that I just made, and the only thing I added to it was I put a little bit of Yellowbird Serrano hot sauce on both sides of the bread to fire things up a little bit. This bread is very unique. I don't think I've ever had anything quite like it. I'm not really sure what to compare it to, in fact. It's a white bread, but it's got a lot of flavor to it. Now, normally I buy sourdough because I like the flavor, and I also find that I just digest it better. I think most people do, but sourdough, that's a great thing about sourdough. But this is not sourdough, but it does have a little bit of a tang to it. And I can't exactly put my finger on what it is that is different about this bread, but it's really fantastic. It's got a great crumb to it, as well as the flavor. Very, very interesting. So even though I had to slice it myself, I think it's actually worth it. This is good stuff. Well, this has been just about perfect. And by that I mean the food, the views, the sounds, all of it is exactly what I needed. With spending so much time in a city, I kind of need to do this from time to time, and it's always a pleasure out here. I've been coming out here to the Olympic Mountains for years, and this is one of my favorite places around the Seattle area, just because it's so beautiful, it's so peaceful, and it's never let me down. It's always been a great place to just get my toes into some dirt and to sit amongst some trees and just soak it up for a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do here, and I think I'm going to end it here and say goodnight to all of you, but I'm just going to hang out here for a little bit longer because I need to soak up as much as I possibly can, because I'm probably going to head back into the city. Now, I should just mention that earlier I was hoping to find a campsite that I could camp out at tonight, although I'm not sure if I would have camped out or not, but it would have been nice to just have that possibility. And being that I couldn't find a way back into that area, took away that possibility, of course. And if the van were running a little bit better, I probably would have just driven around a bit and found a way to get back into that land. I mean, it is public land, so I presume that there's a way to get to it and access it. Could be wrong about that, but these are just the things I have to change up now because the van's not doing so well. But I am perfectly happy doing this, and I'm actually perfectly happy just going back into Port Angeles and finding a parking spot in the city. So it's all good with me. This is not a bad day, any which way I look at it. And the longer I sit here in this spot, the more I'm going to think that too. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.